cold, hard day here at Mitch and Mike's voiceover journey with our replacement Mike, who will forever replace Mike Pelletier. Not true. Mike Regan. And I've brought on...
Don't tell the other Mike.
Oh, yeah. He's not listening at all. I brought on...
He never watches these, right?
Brian Sommer here today. And is
How unfortunate.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, this will definitely be short then if that's how you feel. Is it summer? I just say summer like S-U-M-M-E-R. Is it summer?
Correct. Yeah, it's actually the German spelling of summer.
Summer.
S-U-M-M-E-R. So if you really want to do it completely accurate, it would be summer.
Summer.
Yeah. But no one wants to.
I mean, sometimes. I like to do it.
But it's all, you get Sommer, and then somebody adds an S to the end, and, all kinds of different variations.
Yes.
It's one of those things that's not a big, you don't go out of your way to correct people.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
okay.
Not
I'm
a
with you on
huge
that.
mistake, yeah.
Yeah.
As long as it's correct on the check, right?
Yes, exactly.
Which you have stacks of that you still have to cash, I'm sure.
Somewhere around here.
Yeah.
I'm using them as a doorstop. Yeah, that's who I am. I'm the rich guy that puts checks under his door to prop them open. That's me.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that's trying to see if I can get my head the same size as Mitch's. So that's where my head is. It's literally, I'm trying to get the same
Let's do...
size.
I'm like down here
I
a
got
little bit.
kind of a big noggin.
I want to be in voiceover.
Yeah. Thank goodness I've arrived, because this is what I bring to the table.
What a great start, you guys. This is my favorite way to start things.
This is what editing's for.
We don't do it. We don't do it. People get to enjoy every inch that is you. I said that.
All right, then I'm going to bring out the profanity. Here we go.
Here we are.
I wouldn't do that.
Mike likes to bring a cold open question, or is it a warm open?
I do. It's a... I don't know. It's a warm
open question.
Brian, I always like the good stories. They don't sell well, but I like the good stories.
Right. They don't get the same press.
Who do you hate in the industry? No,
that son of a... Yeah, right.
I went in the studio one time with this guy, and he was just firing on all cylinders from the all cylinders from like the second the director said go, and I was so impressed by it. Have you been in studio with someone that has been like, wow, who has impressed you that you've been in studio with? It can be many. There's many.
There are so many talented folks out there, and the wonderful thing is sitting there watching them and being really impressed and appreciating that, and at the very same moment saying, "You son of a gun, I'm going to do better." Right?
We were just talking about that, recently. Oh my God.
The funny thing is right off the top of my head, as soon as you said that. I did an ensemble recording, this is like 4,000 years ago, with Terry McGovern. Launchpad McQuack, the voice of the stormtroopers in Star Wars, very well-known Bay Area radio personality, Terry McGovern. What were we doing? I don't remember. But it was, we were playing a bunch of superheroes. And then Mike said, "You know what? This is probably the most boring story I have ever heard." He got up and he
left the whole story.
It was so that's how I married Terry McGovern. Sorry, Mike, you didn't hear the rest of it.
I'll have to watch the replay.
Yeah. But my introduction to Terry, we're all sitting in the lobby. It was a Crescendo studio in San Francisco. Great studio. It's not there anymore. We're sitting in the lobby as you normally do. The elevator doors open up. Out steps Terry McGovern, and he says, "Who wants to meet Terry McGovern?"
Oh my gosh. I want to have that much confidence.
And immediately I thought, what an ass, right? He's absolutely delightful guy. I've worked with him several times. But yeah, you go in, and it's great. Like, you can show me the script if you want to, but I'm going to do something really cool here. Boom, off to the races. And you just, you're in my home studio here, and all along the wall, all the way around, are these black and white photos of all these fantastic folks from the golden age of radio, and every single one of them was handpicked by me just ridiculously talented folks, and this, whenever I come out of the recording space, they're all looking down at me saying, "Is that really the best you could do?"
Dad? No.
So big shoes to fill. You're just humbled by folks like that. They're just so gosh darn good, and I love working with them because it not only does it tickle me to watch this. As I was telling Mike, or as I was telling Mitch, I get the exact same amount of enjoyment watching somebody else perform this craft as I do doing it myself. I love teaching. I love watching the light bulbs go off. Anything about this craft, I'm all in for it. So it's just such a fantastic, interesting niche of acting, right?
Absolutely.
You got your theater folks, you got your on-camera folks, and then there's a bunch of goofy sons of guns over here doing voiceover, right?
Man. And just getting into that, I don't know, just doing weird stuff in here that you're not allowed to do in public and doesn't work on film and can't quite be seen or heard on a stage. Yeah, it's definitely its own niche.
But it's interesting. You take a theater person or an on-camera person and put them behind a microphone, and they have to unlearn some things, right? I've talked to many a director, and they said, "Yeah, we've got to kind of, hey, look, this is different. It does not translate to, the microphone. You have to do it, but I always challenge my students. I say, what does a raised eyebrow sound like? Right? So there you go. That's the interesting part of our little goofy thing that we do every day.
That is a great question.
It really does juice it, doesn't it? It really, you can't help but feed off. You're standing beside a great performance. It just feels really cool just to be there. So I get that completely.
And especially if you're doing an ensemble recording, and I love doing ensemble recordings, and of course we're not doing them as much as we used to, but the energy from everybody just makes everybody that much better, right?
Absolutely.
So much fun.
And so we don't have to start with your origin story per se, because we kind of got into some really meaty parts there. But if you'd like to start back there, that's cool.
I was bitten by a radioactive spider, and no, that's not me.
I've heard that one.
I think it all started at Disneyland. To be completely honest with you, which is a weird thing to say.
This sounds like a joke, too.
Yeah, exactly. There was this guy, and he walked into a bar. That place is probably one of the most fantastic repositories of really good voice work. All those attractions and everything. My personal hero is Paul Frees. The voice of, just list them all. The original voice of the Pillsbury Doughboy, Boris Badenoff from the old Bullwinkle show. He's on the wall. He's over there. The voice of the ghost host in the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. It's like one of those things where it's like there's just so many that your brain locks up. But he did a bunch of work there. And it was something that affected me. I went, well, this is really interesting. These voices are so cool. There was an old attraction at the park called Adventure Through Inner Space. And Paul did the narration for it. The ride was kind of void of anything that you would call necessarily, splashy special effects as you would see these days. Okay. So it really was sold by Paul's voice. And you're in the, the Omni-movers is what they're called, those little carriages that take you around.
Oh.
So you're in the dark, the speakers are right there, and Paul is taking you through this story. And it was just so fantastically immersive, based a lot on his delivery and his voice. Some people perhaps would say it was a little campy, but back then, my God, it was absolutely fantastic. Of course, this is before the internet or anything like that.
Right.
So learning about voiceover, which was always kind of a hidden aspect of acting, you just didn't know about it. So years later, I always had an interest in it. I was the guy that went to Disneyland with a camcorder, and it had the lens cap on it. because all I was interested in was recording the audio.
Oh, wow.
Fascinating.
Okay.
Right? Dork. But then many, many moons after that, a gal by the name of Samantha Paris has a voiceover academy in Sausalito, which is the north side of the Golden Gate Bridge. And she would be on a local talk show, Ron Owen's talk show. She would be on there once or twice a year talking about the school and pitching it, things like that. I wrote the telephone number down God knows how many times and threw it in my drawer, in my desk drawer, right? So one day, it was the late 90s, I said, you know what? Get that damn phone number out and give them a call. Boom, hello, yada, 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 off to the races. Did about 18 months of training at Voice Tracks in San Francisco. Got signed by what people would consider the main agency in San Francisco. Worked for about 10 years honing the craft. And then I was picked up by DPN in Los Angeles.
Wow.
So
18 months and you're in?
Well, yes. Probably shouldn't have said that.
Let's tell everybody out there. 18 months, you get in
it's this was a different, I don't know if it was a different time. It wasn't all that long ago. 22, 23 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a different time.
Yeah, so I guess it was a long time ago. But it has definitely, the business has definitely changed. Not the art of the business, but the business of the business has changed. It's like demos. I've had the same demo for the last 20 years, and there's no way in hell anyone would ever produce the demo that I have, right? Because it doesn't follow any of the rules that we're supposed to follow for demos now, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, forget about what I said. Cut that part out. Just do your thing.
Nope. I'm going to have everyone follow
everybody,
you.
Yeah, everybody has their own journey. You know, you bring certain things to the table. You have influences on you. You have different instructors. You're taught different ways, and so on and so forth. So, are some people going to pick it up quickly? Yeah. Are some people going to take a little bit longer? Yep. That's the way it is.
When you started, Brian, were you, after those 18 months, what did you start into? Was it commercials? Like, what was it?
Absolutely, yeah. I think to this day, I think it's a little bit more lenient now, but it seems like whenever you're looking for representation, they always want a commercial demo first, right? Because I think that's the one that is more prevalent. There's more bookings for that. An agent is not going to make, a legitimate agent is not going to make any money unless you're making money. That's how they make, their commission.
Right.
So yeah, I started out doing commercials, absolutely. And the interesting thing is I don't think I've done a commercial in a long time.
Really?
I always wanted to get into it for the character work, so that was always my focus.
That was your target, I guess, right?
But yeah, I definitely did my share of, hey kids, have you tried the new yada yada? Because your friends have it and you don't want to be left out, so get it right now.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much a standard
I think
commercial.
I've seen that
right?
Corn Pops commercial, actually.
Right,
Hey,
exactly.
kids, you just eat the Corn Pops, please.
Right. You'll be just as popular as your friends.
So, did you find yourself
No pun
falling
intended.
more in love with it while you were learning the non-character side, I guess the commercial side, or the side that wasn't as glitzy? Did you enjoy that part too?
Yeah, it was definitely stuff that I had to learn, to be sure, because I come, fat, dumb, and happy into the classroom, and as far as I'm concerned, every single commercial sounds like this, because I've got the pipes. I'm into voiceover because somebody said I've got a good voice.
Yeah.
Which couldn't be the worst, it's the worst reason ever. So yeah, a lot of stuff to learn, the business of the business, what's an ABC read? I've never heard of that before.
Oh, yeah.
All that kind of stuff. But yeah, and then what kind of started happening was, we were talking about, enjoying particular people. Sam Pond, who's not doing the work anymore, he's kind of retired and gone on to other things. But in the Bay Area, if you heard a commercial that just made you pee your pants laughing, it was probably Sam Pond.
Okay.
One of the most fantastic directors I've ever worked for. And the reason I bring that up is because what I found is that we could start doing, characters within a commercial.
Yeah.
And these funny 30-second skits, right? His company was called Pond Entertainment, right? But he did commercials. But he wanted to make sure that people were entertained.
Wow.
Just some hilarious stuff. And a recording session with him, you get the script, and I've still got a couple of them laying around. I would take it home because, you'd get the script print. We used to do things on paper because we enjoyed killing forests.
Yep.
Paper. And after we were done, as produced, there would be lines and arrows and circles and words in the margin because it was a living, breathing thing, right? Constantly playing with it, constantly changing things, adjusting this. Move that comma over 2 words and let's try it again. Why is that funnier? I don't know, but there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a good ear for it, I guess.
Oh, he was so much fun to work for. Yeah.
Neat.
And when you get to play, you just have more fun because it's not a critique per se, it's let's do something else. And
Sure.
maybe you do want to go a little longer because you're just playing at the job you love already.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it's big money, right? I mean, especially when you're talking about, doing character work for feature films or AAA video games or something like that. We're talking $1 bazillion.
Right.
But yeah, if we're enjoying it, if we're having fun, if you do a couple of outtakes and crack people up, yeah, great. But got to stay focused. Yeah, we got work to do. Time is money. Let's go. Read the line.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So that you did transition. You're not doing commercials anymore. What does that look like? I mean, I know you've seen it not only in yourself, but you have students. What does that look like, I guess, generally? How would one transition out of that? Because it seems like maybe you have to do commercials for the rest of your life.
Sure. Yeah, and I still get commercial auditions, and I do them to stay in practice. I think the last one was maybe a year ago. But then again, it was probably a character within a commercial. The trend of conversational guy next door is basically what killed my career in commercials.
It brought me here.
Yeah, because, there are people that are much, much, much better at it than I am. So, of course, they're going to go with those folks. And I think the way it transitions is just naturally. You just start booking more of XYZ instead of ABC. And, your agent learns these things, so perhaps they're going to start sending you more of that work instead of the commercial work.
Okay. Man, that's...
Was there one or 2 jobs that kind of pulled you more towards it or got you more exposure towards that area like that?
I don't... Not
Or just kind of
necessarily.
accumulation of many?
It was just, it was just an accumulation, as you said. Back then, in the Bay Area, there was probably like not a handful, but maybe there was a dozen of us that were doing that. We all knew each other. You would go into the session and so is walking out as you're walking in. Hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. So it was, and it still is. I mean, even though there's a lot of folks in the business, it's still a very fraternal sort of a feel to this craft.
And I was going to ask you, when you're getting a character, because I don't do it a lot, have a hard time staying there. Because I'll go into a character, then I'll kind of go a little bit over this way. Like, what? I'm guessing that you are good at that, at staying in a character.
Yeah.
Would that be accurate?
It's usually referred to as sustaining the character.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know.
So when you're talking about when you're talking about the voice.
Right.
So the thing is that even though it's voice acting, voice is in small letters, acting is in big letters. And the last thing you want to be thinking about behind the microphone is the voice. Because then you're going to start to get what we call a voice-centric read. We can hear somebody doing a voice. So the voice needs to be chosen, practiced, locked in, and forgotten about.
Okay.
Because it needs to come out organically. We need to hear that guy, we need to hear that gal speaking, not a voice actor performing. That's the death knell, right? So there's been times when, you get in your own head, for some reason, and you just have to take... You guys are bringing up all kinds of stories.
That's what we do.
Yeah. America's Army was the name of the video game. Julian Kwasniewski there's a name for you, was the director. We were recording at Studio Jory. My character was one of the lower southern states. So it's kind of sounded like this, kind of a guy, I'm in the Army. And so the bad guys in this video game were the Kropakians, if I'm getting that correct.
Okay.
And they had actually written a Kropakian language.
Oh, my. Wow.
So, and Julian loves to tell this story to this day. We got to a line where my character is talking to some of the Kropakians, and he has to speak in the Kropakian language. And the word was Saif. Julian, God bless him, tries to help me out by saying, yeah, it's how you would kind of pronounce the word safe with an Australian accent.
Okay.
No.
Safe.
The problem is now I'm talking like this, talking to the Kropakians, and I gotta say Saif, and it comes out Australian.
Of course.
Because he had put that bug in my head, right?
Yeah, yeah.
God knows how much tape we used. I'm joking. Of course, we weren't using tape. But I had to actually walk away,
Right.
stop the session for a minute. Okay, you're Southern. This is what you're doing. This is how you talk right now. Okay, this is what you're doing. You go, Saif. Okay, I got it. Okay, but it's not going to come out G'day, right?
Yeah.
And we finally got one take, I think, that was usable. But it happens, right? It happens when you've got all these voices in your head talking to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets a little confusing.
How do you anchor the character? Like, I don't know why that word resonates with me. It just does. But is there an anchor that you hold on to for a character, or
especially if you're using an archetype? If creepy guy, Peter Lorre. Okay, have Peter Lorre's face in your head while you're recording it. That kind of stuff. That definitely helps.
Okay.
But again, it's one of those things where the voice itself needs to be the last thing that you're thinking about.
Yeah.
It's got to come out organically. It's got to come out naturally. It's got to sound like this actually emanates from that character instead of somebody doing it. So practice. Sometimes, and hook phrases are great too. Or I think they call them. I don't know what they call them.
They might call those anchor lines as well. Yeah, the other
hook phrases, anchor lines, kind of a thing.
Right.
If you have a particular character voice that you do, coming up with a particular hook phrase that immediately gives you the ability to get back into the character. If we're doing multiple sessions, for a big game, you're coming in maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and there could be months in between the sessions. So generally what they will do is they will play back your previous session.
Thank goodness.
And you'll talk along with it until they're hearing a match, and they said, okay, we got it locked in, here we go.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever used that before, Mike? An anchor line on anything?
I use hook phrases a lot. I was doing the other day, actually. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing that.
But you were doing it right.
Yeah.
I was Russell Crowe in Gladiator. I was using, I forget what line it was, but it helped me get there. Mm-hmm. And I was able to I would end up using that line, whatever it was, almost before.
He said Saif.
That's what he said.
Yeah, exactly. Before every take. I was recording by myself, so it was easy to edit it out. But I would often, because I was having a hard time staying there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's a good
Sure.
anchor line. There you go. What I would
Yeah,
call
and
it.
especially if you're recording solo and it's not a directed session or something like that, then you have the time to massage it and make sure that you're doing it correctly. Get one that's absolutely clean and use that as your reference line. Just play it back before you start the next line, maybe, if you're having some difficulties.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm coming into more of that self-directed character work where, like, I might be evolving my character throughout the read in the last 4 hours that I'm not even noticing. Like, maybe my pitch is going up and I don't even realize it. So, yeah, having that sort of, okay, go back to the beginning and listen to what you recorded. Don't record 1,000 hours and then just keep going, I think.
Definitely a situation that will occur, especially if it's a brand new character that we're just fleshing out. We'll do a page and a half and get the character locked in, and then we will go right back to the beginning and record that page and a half again.
Oh, wow.
Because now we've got the character locked in. Because there is, especially when you're doing somebody brand new, there is that moment, listen to The Simpsons season 1, right? And listen to The Simpsons season 10.
Yeah.
There's a big difference there. So as the characters evolve, so that's what the wonderful thing about having a director and an engineer and people that are smarter than you are, they're listening to that and going, hey, you know what? You kind of dropped out of the character. Let's do it again.
Okay.
That they're invaluable.
And that's almost an advanced move because not everybody has that character they get to record for a client right away. And you've been coaching for how many years now?
15 years, I think he said, with a huge question mark on the end of his inflection.
This is a two-parter question, so Mike is not allowed to ask any questions from now on. Just kidding. But how do you decide that it's time for you to become a coach? Like, other than the want to do it, of course, and maybe tell us about some of the building blocks that some of the early on character actors could use.
It's one thing to do and it's another to teach, right? Obviously you need to have a fairly good knowledge of of the subject you want to teach, but also you need to have the ability to teach. I think the most important thing for a teacher to do is to discover how the student learns. Right? Are they do as I do, a repetition kind of a thing? Are they visual? Are they, so many other different things? Instead of demanding that the student learn the way you teach, some grumpy old, university professor or something would be the archetype.
Right.
So that truly is important. Wanting to teach, obviously you have to have a desire to do it. And I love those light bulb moments with students. Like, oh, I get it now. And it may be, it's like, no, you got to add blah, blah, blah. And they don't do it. No, you got to add blah, blah, blah. Well, there's a disconnect in communication now, right? It's like when you get a line read from a director. There's a disconnect in communication. If they are not able to communicate to you and you are not able to translate what they're saying into the performance they want, we've got a disconnect and they need to line read you. So instead of doing that, constantly saying, do this, do this, do this, take a minute as the instructor and say, how else can I convey what I want to this person? As a director, coach, I stay away as much as I can from mechanical directions. Do it faster. The problem is now the actor does it faster, wonderful, but they have no idea why they are doing it faster. So instead, hey, I need this guy to be a lot more excited. Okay, that naturally is going to get the speed up. So I try and stay away from that. But it's, I'm not paying anybody to coach with me. They're the ones that are paying me to coach with them.
Yeah.
So I'm their employee, right? So it's my job to give them what they need to do the job. So, I'm not going to waste anybody's money and go, I'm a grumpy old guy, you have to do it my way.
Right.
But that's not to, are there people out there that have come through voiceover schools that maybe have no business being there? Yeah,
Every
it's
school,
true.
right?
But a lot of folks do it just as a social thing. And who am I to say, no, don't do it? But you can be damn sure that I'm going to say, you know what? That's not competitive, but here's what you need to do to make it competitive. I'm not going to say, good job, thanks for the money. No, that's money under false pretenses. If it stinks, I'm going to tell them it stinks. And then I'm going to tell them how we can adjust it.
Okay. And early on, what are the struggles you see that some newbies or even oldies get into?
Sure.
What are some of the earlier struggles in character acting?
They're exactly the same as the things that I had to get over. It's not about the voice. Get it out of your head. Forget about the voice. Lock it in. Are they looking? Is production looking for a particular sound for their project? Yeah, of course they are. But what they're really looking for is a damn good actor. They need to be able to know that you can take this actor authentically anywhere we need to on the emotional scale. That is probably one of the big things. You get folks that are very vocally centric. Hi, it's very nice to meet you. Great. Could you do it sad? Hi, it's very nice to meet you. Good. How about apprehensive? Hi, it's very nice to meet you. And they have a beautiful orator's voice, and maybe they will get some narration or some announcing, but they're going to be a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
So acting, and then after you're done with that, you should probably do some acting.
Ooh. After that.
So it's tough for some folks, right?
The question I had was, you're absolutely right. Figuring out how someone learns. I imagine it's nice if they tell you. If they don't tell you how best they learn, is it kind of trial and error on your part? Like how?
Definitely.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to have to put somebody on the spot and basically say, why aren't you doing it right? It doesn't help.
Great question.
But definitely, you do that compliment sandwich. I think the old middle management used to call it. Hey, this part right here, very nice. That's what we needed to do. This part right here, yeah, that stunk like a something at low tide. This part here, that didn't make me want to vomit. So that's good too. Actors, right? My God, actors. Self-conscious sons of guns. So, and I tell everybody, if you want to get into show business, you better have thick skin. So knowing that, these are honest to goodness, living, breathing human beings that have emotions, and maybe they had a bad day and maybe they're not doing so well. So you got to take all this stuff into consideration before you really just kick somebody in the butt and say, that was horrible.
Right. So I don't know if I articulated it well, but if someone's a visual learner or a do it, mimic learner, whatever, like how do you figure that part out? Like how do they?
Like you said, trial and error. Okay. I'm going to give you this example, or I'm going to give you this direction, and it didn't take. So what I'm going to do is maybe I'm going to say, hey, have you ever blah 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 before, and then we take that personal experience and we say, hey, how did you feel at that time? So we're getting a little bit deeper into it. We are explaining the instructions in a different way that maybe they can resonate with, instead of just saying, yeah, give me a 2-beat pause and then end it up. And they're going, I'm sorry, what the hell did you just say?
Yeah.
So it sounds very musical.
That's the shorthand. Yeah, that's the shorthand for professionals, right? But as you are coming up, I just had this conversation with a group the other day. When you're first starting out, we hammer into you, what, where, who, this and all that stuff. Yeah, but what color are the guy's shoes that you're talking to? And what did you have for breakfast this morning? And blah, 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 blah. And then we pull the rug out from under him by telling him, do the professional working people do that? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Why? We don't do it because we learned how to do it when we were first starting out. And then we learned how to shorthand it.
Right.
Right? So now we're able to give me the script, boom, okay, yeah, let's have some fun with this, da-da-da-da-da-da, because we got this big tool bag of ways of delivering it. But to get to that point, to know the level where you need to be for that delivery, you need to do all this legwork about, you know, all that goofy stuff that we would go through. What colored shoes was he wearing? What is that? I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense. It will in 20 years.
I find myself doing that, especially when I'm having a little trouble, like we were talking about earlier, staying in the character. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm missing something about this character that is taking me out of the headspace of XYZ. You know, why?
Sure.
You know, what does a sociopath sound like, or whatever? You know, what does this sociopath sound like?
I'll base it off of Uncle Phil. Perfect.
I got plenty in my life to just amalgamation of all the sociopaths in my life, or the narcissists. Okay. Yeah. That.
Well, we're professional liars if you think about it. Yeah. Right. Unless you get behind the microphone and say, "Hi, it's Brian Sommer talking to you about yada yada yada," you are somebody else. You're lying. So this never happened with you guys because I can tell that you're just angels. But, you know, when I was a kid, Mom and Dad would leave and say, "Remember, don't play ball in the house." "Okay, Mom. Okay, Dad. No problem." As soon as the car leaves the driveway, you go to the closet, you get the ball.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh, my gosh. Bang. Knocks over the priceless family vase from the mantelpiece. Blam. Shatters all over the ground. What do? Immediately, we start cooking up a whopper of a lie. Well, Mom and Dad, I was sitting quietly on the sofa with my hands folded neatly in my lap, watching an educational TV show, when suddenly a man came over the back fence. He had a black mask, black and white striped shirt, a bag with a dollar sign on it, and he had a crowbar in his hand, right? He came to the back door and he started jimmying the back door. The dog got scared. The dog barked. That scared the cat. The cat jumped up, knocked over the vase. Why do we put all of that detail in there? We do it because we think it informs the lie. Right. It's exactly what we need to do when we're performing. Because when that kid is telling that lie, he's now got a movie in his head that is going, right? He sees the guy coming over the fence when he's saying, "A man came over the back fence." So you've got to dive in and know all of those little details of this single line, right? Before you ever hit record, you need to know all of that stuff so that it will play that movie and it will inform your lie. Except we call it acting.
I guess I never, maybe because I have, I might as well be a disability where I pretty much can't lie, but it's pretty rough. But yeah, maybe that's so funny to think about it that way. We've been doing it since we could talk.
Sure, you bet.
Uh-oh. Mikey, you got a phone call midway?
No,
okay.
It's his agent.
Sorry.
Yeah,
It is.
He's going to have to walk out. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, we used to do it to get out of trouble. Now we do it to get a check. So something went horribly wrong.
Right. It's pretty great, though. I did want to talk to you because we are nearing not the end, but we've not even picked you clean, you know. But we did talk. We did talk earlier and off camera about something that you're getting into.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to hear about this.
Yeah. I want to hear about it.
I teach with the GVAA. I also teach with Voice Tracks in San Francisco, where I was a student 4,000 years ago. We would ride our horses up and tie them up and go into the saloon.
Yeah. People weren't riding horses 4,000. Okay, maybe they were.
And we'd learn voiceover.
Yeah.
I've been teaching there for quite some time, and I have been bugging the staff there to allow me to do a live radio drama in front of an actual audience.
Whoa.
I've put it before them several times, and I'm very persistent, and I think they call it being a pain in the ass, is what they call it.
Shorthand.
They finally relented just so I would stop bothering them, and that's coming up in September.
how effective that is? It just just stop
Just
bothering us.
Being a complete, horrible.
That's good.
Horrible.
Hey, have you guys decided on the voiceover?
And waking them up at 3:00, ringing their phones, that probably was a bad tactic. But I don't care. I wanted what I worked.
Yeah.
So scripts have been selected. We did some rewriting on them to kind of bring them up to speed, and the auditions are going out to the student body. And choices will be made, and then we go into 4 weeks of rehearsal, and then it's September. I think it's late September. We're actually doing it at one of the community theaters in San Rafael, California, which is the North Bay.
So let me know if I'm imagining this right. We got a stage, right? And you had mentioned that you're doing live Foley sounds as well. You got a creaking door, maybe chains,
the whole shebang,
UFOs on stage. I don't know how that works.
Right.
But are you going to have like mic setups on the stage? Because I've never seen this before in my entire life.
Yeah.
I know it's happened, but
yeah, when they would do it, because a lot of the radio dramas of the time during the Golden Age were done live. Some were what they call transcribed, recorded prior. But they would have an actual seated live studio audience because, that was your entertainment in the day. This was before TV. And for the younger folks, TV is like streaming, but it was free.
young
Imagine
people
that.
don't listen to this
Right,
show.
exactly.
Right.
You kids, get off the lawn. They would they would have 2 or 3 microphones set up. And microphone technique was a big thing then, right? Where's Bob? I think he's in the back room, right? And then Bob, who's maybe 5 feet away, yells off access, "Yeah, I'm in the back room," and it sounds like he's in the back room. They actually had carpets or rugs that the microphones would sit on, and they were woven with concentric rings. And the green ring was for this line, the blue ring was for this, so you just knew where to stand, right? Just incredible, beautiful, uncomplicated technology.
Yeah.
And again, they used to call it theater of the mind, because that's what it was.
Yeah.
You've got your big, splashy summer blockbusters with all these great special effects and everything, and they're fine. They're wonderful. You go there, you put the popcorn in your face, and you're having a great time. These things, it was all audio. It was voices, music, and sound effects, and that was it. And you, as that kid sitting at home in front of this giant oak cabinet that had the pulsating, glowing dial, you had to fill in the details, the visuals, right? You had to have an imagination. And I guarantee you that if you were listening to something scary, it scared you more than if you went to a movie. Because the directors of that movie don't know exactly what scares you. You know what scares you.
Yeah.
And if I don't provide any visuals, you're going to fill in the visuals with your deepest, darkest fear. So I love the idea of doing it, trying to resurrect it again. As I said to Mitch, the most recent project that came out was just that. It's a podcast or an Audible book or whatever they're talking about. But it's an audio drama, like an old radio drama. John Hamm is the lead in it. And I did a couple of parts in it. I think I did like the judge or something like that. It's called The Big Lie, set in 1930s L.A. Right? It doesn't get more audio drama-ier than that. The hard-boiled film noir detective, and it's just a hoot. It's available at your nearby computer.
The one you're working on that's coming up, is. Yeah, like how many mics? Does everyone have their own mic, or are they going to be using the similar kind of technique thing? That
Usually you don't.
The carpet, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't do. Although the plays, there's not a lot of character. We're doing 2 different stories. One's a comedy, one's a thriller. Generally, not everybody would have their own microphone because, again, you're going to be doing the mic techniques, and you're not always going to be at the microphone. So, you would go sit down until your part comes up. You'd come up to the microphone, kind of a thing.
Oh, wow.
How they're going to set it up is beyond me. When I go to a session, I stay on my side of the glass for a reason, because I am a caveman. And thank God.
For the live performance one you guys are doing, are you all going to be on stage sitting in chairs waiting for your part to come up? Like how?
Usually I think that's how they are going to set it up. I'm directing the performance. The tech folks are taking care of, that stuff because they're smarter than I am.
Mm-hmm.
They know what buttons to push and all that good stuff. But usually maybe 3 microphones is standard. And, because not everybody's going to be talking at once. And if you have like walla going on, crowd noise, you just stand up from your chair and walla, from that distance is perfect. So it's a bit of a ballet.
Is the studio audience given instructions? I've never been in a studio audience, so I've got no idea.
Yeah.
So are they given instructions on how to be a studio audience for an audio?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, back when people had manners and were courteous, that's not fair. People still are. Some persons are not, but people still are. Yeah, they know, and there would be studio lights, for like applause and quiet and things like that. But they were there, and you would basically act as if you were watching a movie. However, if it was a comedy or something like that, they definitely wanted to hear the laughter, and the audience would be mic'd. They'd have a couple of glorious, RCA 44s out there doing something or other, picking up all that wonderful stuff. That's about as techie as I get. I know what an RCA 44 is because I own one.
I was going to say, it's a lot more than me.
That's an RCA 44 right there in front of a very young Don Pardo.
Okay.
The announcer for Saturday Night Live for many years. Saturday Night Live! Don Pardo.
Love that, by the way. I try to emulate that when I can. I can't. But...
Yet. You can't yet.
All of this acting talking, though, with an acting pose.
So annoying. Yeah.
Mike, do you have anything else? Because I really want to act. I would love to act.
We can do that, yeah.
Are you ready?
Do you have a picture of Peter Cullen back there, by any chance? No?
I don't. See, he's more of a he's not contemporary that much because he's kind of, I don't know if he's semi-retired or not. But he's definitely still around, still a force to be reckoned with, absolutely. But these
the best
are more...
man at my dad's wedding.
No way!
Nice.
Yeah, that's not too shabby. Most of my selections are from the golden age, though. So, 30s, 40s back then. It was the only way. Otherwise, it would be like floor-to-ceiling pictures of all these brilliantly talented folks.
Yes.
Staring at me, constantly pointing their fingers.
I have a lot to look back at and look up to, so...
big shoes to fill.
That's for sure. And will I? Who knows? We're going to be back very soon with a script for everybody.
Oh my God!
And
I'm going to knock this out of the park.
He's going to be the best of everybody.
Going to embarrass the two of you.
We're going to have everybody comment on
be.
which character they liked the best. That's not true. Hold on 1 second, everybody.
Cast your votes now.
We'll be back
before you hear it.
I've been holding my breath that whole time. Oh, Christmas Day.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Lung capacity on that
you
guy.
You guys don't know. Hey, we're back. Can you believe it? We're back. I have to say, Mike throws some weird shit into the mix, and we get some interesting scripts here.
I don't get out.
I would just like to say before we get into this, if my agent is watching, if you would please click out now. Thank you.
I promise you they're not. So this is sort of disjointed conversation between 3 dental tools. Sucky, Drilly, and Mira, the mirror.
Pretty much an everyday occurrence.
Yeah, happens all the time. We just don't hear it. I'm going to lead us in. You guys ready?
Sure.
Oh,
sure,
yeah.
We're ready. Sure. Okay.
Bored.
Interior mouth day. It's a moist, echoey battlefield. We zoom in on the ongoing dental procedure. The mouth is open. Tools are deployed.
Oh, sweet black, not again! I'm drowning in saliva! Can someone please tell Jerry to stop producing so much spit?
How dare you say that, Saki? It is not Jerry's fault. You see, he watched The Notebook last night. Crybaby drama seeps into the glands. I'm just trying to survive without fogging up like some sort of haunted bathroom mirror.
Yeah, baby, time to carve out some tool, dental, real estate. I don't know what I'm saying. Who's ready for a rumble in the molar frickin' jungle, dude?
For the love of enamel, Drilly, could you not announce your every move like a WWE wrestler?
Can't hear you over the sound of me getting things done. Bring on the decay, baby.
Wow, you are so brave, attacking defenseless plaque. You are the true hero of this oral opera.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, some of us are working non-stop. I've sucked more fluids today than a vampire on a double shift. And what do I get? A mild rinse? No respect.
Mild rinse. You're lucky. Last week I was dropped into a sink for 2 hours. Do you know what it's like to stare at a drain with no escape? Existential horror, Thucky. Existential horror. How dare you step on my line?
I'm so sorry. You guys need to lighten up, step on your line. What are you even talking about? This is the best gig ever. I drill, I thrill. I'm basically the rock star of dentistry.
Yeah, sure. More like a caffeinated mosquito with boundary issues.
Just 5 more minutes, then back into the sterilization chamber. Oh, my happy place.
I came in like a root canal.
Why do I always get assigned to the noisy ones?
Because Karma has 32 teeth, and Jerry forgot to floss.
Fade out as the tools continue bickering, and Jerry groans softly in the chair. Wow.
It's a wrap.
Wow. I did step. I did do some stepping, truly. Sorry about that, but I think...
One take wonders, you guys. Boom.
Yep.
There it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how good we are.
Out of
Right
all of the dental tool ensemble recordings I have had in my career, you guys have been the best.
Oh, I'm blushing. Thank you.
We'll take that. Yes, I will take that home, which is right here, and enjoy it. Thank you for bringing your wisdom, your energetic, wonderful self.
Yeah, Mike was wonderful, wasn't he?
Yeah.
My pleasure.
And Brian, that's fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
Thanks for filling in the third square, Brian. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Other Mike couldn't show up, so we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a wrap, you guys. Again, I'm so happy that I've ever gotten to work with you, and now Mike and I are probably on the hook for getting some serious lessons after that shenanigan just happened. So,
Boy, those guys could sure use that guy. Yeah.
My pleasure, guys. I had a ball. This was fun stuff, and you did just fine.
Yeah.
thank
Great
you.
fun, Brian. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Real pleasure to meet you.
You bet. My pleasure.
We're out of here. Bye, y'all.
See you guys.